This is Things You Might Not Have Heard, and I am Jacob Payne, and we are back in the queue with 10 news stories for your Monday morning from the past weekend that covered stories that were informational, political, current eventical, and pop cultural news-wise, and all conversational based on your engagement, based on you selling us. These are stories to talk about. And here's the sort of the thing, the caveat for the day. We've had some issues with what I'll go into fully tell on at the end of the show and what happened the past couple of days. We basically took off since Wednesday for this show here, but we also had issues for the weekend as the riots, and that's the only thing you can call them, the protests, the big action dealing with the ICE raids turned into all that's being talked about in the news essentially since Saturday, everything going forward. In fact, CNN got some blasting for not covering the riots early into its broadcast until it finished its ever our moral play with George Clooney, and then it stuck with it basically for the entire weekend. Other stations came into it late as well because it turned into something bigger than it is. And we're going to start off with that one plus 9 other stories that are of means. So 2 of those other stories include Meet the Fockers 2 or Meet the Parents 4, whatever you want to call it, possibly coming up. And Greta Thunberg and her boat making its way to Gaza and getting stopped when it got there. Now, we'll explain the vetting process, why, how, and what's the point of this stories you picked here to make this a conversational piece. It's not just me reading off news stories. These are stories that you seem to want to chat up, that seem to either catch your attention because they're interesting. Sometimes they're just sort of funny out there. Sometimes they really are important. You want to get deeper into those. So that's how we get these there. We'll go into the full vetting process of picking those stories in a bit. 3 things off the bat. Number 1, this is a conversationproject.com as our online home for more information about our full offerings. If you're curious about what we do, check it out there. Also, we have our website, our email address, conversationinbox@gmail.com, where you can see exactly what's going on in the way of or you can conversate with us on what's going on back and forth happening there. And of course, our email, I'm sorry, I pressed too many buttons, getting back at the 3 days being off, trying to get things going on this side, this side, this side. We also have our sponsor for today, which is Ground News. More news and get better news because you can basically see everything that's being covered, not just what's being out there by your siloed news source out there. So check it out for the affiliate link. This is affiliate link. We get a small addition from your subtraction. Your subtraction is 40% off of that subtraction, other Vantage plans. Today is Monday, June the 9th, 2025. I am going to give you these 10 stories we talked about before that were from the past weekend. You gave them the engagement that told me that they're worthy of chatting up via the social media. We'll explain that in just a bit. Off the bat, biggest story, because right now it's the only story, and this may have an issue on getting new stories for the day and the next couple of days because this is turning to a larger scale issue, one with the protest itself and 2 with the ongoings behind it. Now, we're dealing with right here as the big part of the protest happened, where protesters shut down the 101 freeway as immigration demonstrations continue in Los Angeles. A large group of anti-ICE protesters seized the 101 freeway in downtown LA, halting traffic for hours, with California Highway Patrol responding with stun grenades to clear the crowd. Signs of unrest were clear, with objects like scooters, tree branches, and fireworks rained down from the freeway overpasses. It also got really odd as tensions went through for Waymo vehicles. A lot of them that were parked along the side of the road and parked along in serious places. They had tire slash, graffiti sprayed, and at least 2 were set on fire because they just couldn't go anyplace. Observers also noted protesters tossing lime scooters into the fires and at police vehicles and police themselves. Thick black smoke from burning lithium-ion batteries posed serious safety threats from those electric cars, and just the chaos calamity that was what it was. President Trump dispatched around 300 National Guard troops under the Title X authority, I should say, the federal move that was not requested by Governor Newsom. He also has 500 Marines on standby. He basically called up 2,000 National Guard members, only sent 300 there. And the really, really bad part of the look, which it's part of a look, Donald Trump thanked the National Guard for all the hard work they did literally hours after he wrote the paperwork and even more hours before they even showed up on the scene. They hadn't done anything yet, but he thanked them for doing whatever, because he is calling this a resurrection. Last time something like this was done, where the National Guard was sent someplace where the state did not want them to for federal laws, was in the 60s, and that was to forcibly integrate black children into white schools. Not exactly the same look. Local and federal forces have shifted into riot control mode with LAPD, the Highway Patrol, and the National Guard, both sides, using tear gas, flashbangs, and rubber bullets and mounted units to disperse demonstrations, basically breaking up all the fights and all the infos. 24 arrests were made so far. I'm sure it's much, much more by now as they arrested people overnight into this Monday morning. Multiple injuries reported among both the officers and protesters. Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass are denouncing the federal deployment as an overreach. They warned that militarized tactics were fanning the flames rather than restoring order. Washington framed the protests as potential insurrection. Let that wash over you for a moment. Trump saying it's justified federal intervention to protect people and property. Most of the federal troops, National Guard troops under federal action, are protecting federal buildings, which is fine and needs to be done. And that's great. But the point that first thing Trump did in the action was send in his troops that aren't his troops and starts a precedent that really is kind of scary, because having actual troops police people in general settings on United States soil, it's not some place we really want to go. The Colombian president is vowing to capture the mastermind behind a shooting of a political rival. This is a very interesting story, how this thing is playing out. Attack happened on the 7th in Bogota at a campaign event where presidential hopeful and senator from Colombia, Miguel Turbe, was shot from behind during a campaign event and wounded twice, once in the head and once in the thigh, and rushed to Santa Fe de Bodega Hospital for emergency surgery. 2 bystanders were also injured in the melee. 15-year-old suspect was armed with a 9mm Glock, arrested on the spot as the prime suspect. Turbe comes from a politically prominent family. His grandfather was Julio Cesar Turbe Alea and served as president from 1978 to 82. And his mother, journalist Diana Turbe, was killed by cartel gunmen in 1991. This attack marks a return to political violence in Colombia they fought against in the 80s and 90s. And now it's back. President Gustavo Petro called for a serious investigating into the shooting and called it a blow to democracy. Vowed to that no resource should be spared in identifying the mastermind, whether locating outside of Colombia. Essentially not believing that the 15-year-old essentially acted on his own, want to figure out how the plan was hatched and who's behind it and finding out what's going on. Petro also urged independent probe, noting that worrying trend of minors being used in violent crime. So what's this all about? The National Defense Minister deployed a task force over 100 investigators and announced a reward of 3 billion pesos, or about $730,000, for leads, the international figures, including U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Latin leaders across America, are condemning the attack and want to help out what they can. Rubio called this a direct threat to democracy, highlighting the concerns over political tensions that are rising in the nation and around the world, if you will. Critical condition, so he's still fighting for his life, but surgery has been done, so we can see what happens. His campaign is obviously on pause, and the fact that he was the target of a person who is running against the current president, of course, was not left out, and no one did not let that one pass over. Questions are basically coming on the focus of the attack and whether anything had to be done with the actual current regime or not. Petro and security officers are determined to find the planners because they believe it is an outside person. At least that's what's being said. We actually didn't talk about this story. We had it very prominent. It was trending a lot, and we passed over it for something probably more silly, probably something involving Taylor Swift, to be honest. But Greta Thunberg launched a ship to go to send aid over to Gaza. She launched a ship with the help of, and on the ship as well, some famous people to make it a big deal. We thought this thing would have been passed by now, but apparently the ship didn't launch until the 6th of June, and arriving there in Gaza on the 8th, and either sometime late yesterday or early this morning, Israel promised to block and are blocking this aid boat with Greta Thunberg on the ship. And so the yacht actually left from Sicily to Gaza. So I thought it left from here, which was taking a long trip around, but it's just not a small little boat. Aboard were 12 people: Greta Thunberg, French MEP Rima Harrison, and a couple other semi-famous people carrying symbolic aid, baby formula, medical supplies, just little things there to go to Gaza and show up to help. It was intended to challenge the naval blockade in Gaza in which it didn't. When they arrived, essentially on the 8th, the Israel defense minister said, we're not going to let it through, and they didn't. Ships told the boat to turn back. Katz said that the blockade, Katz being defense minister Israel Katz, the blockade is vital to stopping weapons reaching Hamas, calling the activisms a bit of propaganda in the sympathizer realm. And so, like I said, late yesterday, early this morning, based on how time works, wherever the yacht was stopped in international waters, Israeli naval forces boarded and diverted it to Ashdorn Port. Authorities stated the crew was safe and that the modest amount of aid will go through official humanitarian channels, eventually get into Gaza in its own way, but not Greta Thunberg putting her foot on land and doing her thing. Intercepting this actual vessel is drawing criticism, early criticism worldwide. We're having a hard time seeing it right here because we have riots in Los Angeles. But Spain and Turkey are condemning the takeover as a violation of international law. Activists are accusing Israel of state terrorism, and Israeli government said that their actions were legal and offered evacuees water and food in general. Now, naval blockade by Israel has been in place since Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007. It's been there for a while, and they do their best to keep the weapons out of Hamas's hand and Hamas from basically stealing aid coming in. The blockade intensified in October of 2023, obviously amid a widening humanitarian crisis also happening in general. The incident spotlights global tensions over Gaza's access to aid and national security and protests to attacks at sea. It's a whole big mess there that should be hopefully resolved. Should be resolved in some peaceful manner. We don't do peace very well, apparently, in 2025. No peace for ABC, and especially for Terry Moran, who's been suspended after calling Trump advisor Stephen A. Miller and Trump himself a hater. Now, on June 8th, ABC officially suspended senior national correspondent Terry Moran after he posted on the now deleted message that he had on X describing White House advisor Stephen Miller and President Donald Trump as, quote, world-class haters. The post claimed that Miller, quotes, eats his hate and suggests that Trump uses animosity for, quote, self-glorification. ABC News said Moran's comments violated its standards of objectivity. A spokesperson emphasized the network's commitment to impartial coverage, stating the post did not represent ABC's values. Moran is now suspended pending further review. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt labeled the remarks as unacceptable and unhinged, while Vice President J.D. Vance called them a vile smear. Stephen Miller added that Moran's words revealed the media's hidden radical bias, not racial, because that's a whole nother thing. This is not the first time ABC has faced this type of scrutiny. In fact, in December, the network paid $15 million to settle a libel lawsuit for Trump. You may remember that one. Critics say Moran's suspension reflects ongoing tensions between mainstream media and the Trump-era political establishment. Moran interviewed Trump in early April, marking his first 100 days in office, high-profile moment for his career. And then he dropped these words, and apparently is going to have a bit of a black mark on his career. Questions remain about suspension. Will the editorial process be adjusted by ABC or other places to deal with Donald Trump and his tendency to lash back when people say not nice things at him? How will this particular episode affect trust in journalism in general and perceptions of bias? Right now, trust in the mainstream media is low because of many reasons. I have a bit of a slight distrust for the mainstream media because of the way they cover things as well, but someone has to cover things going forward. And yes, there is a bias going to it. It doesn't help that the person that they're covering and the bias that he creates is self-created, and he does it on his own. That being said, the media has its issues, the public has its issues, the administration has its issues, and none of them will be solved in a way that anyone will actually be able to coexist fairly soon. SiriusXM unexpectedly fired Michelle Beadle and Cody Decker after announcing that Stephen A. Smith would take over their 1 to 3 p.m. time slot, Eastern Time, on the Mad Dog Sports Radio Network starting in September. Hosts learned of the change through the outside reports, not direct from the network. Essentially, when people read it on the news, so did they, and they were blindsided completely. On the air, Beadle expressed surprise and frustration. Quote, welcome to the lame duck and who knew show, she quipped, while Decker hollered, fired. Beadle added, all I ask is to be treated with respect, describing the situation as, quote, a little embarrassing. In interviews, Beadle has criticized SiriusXM's communications and took aim at Smith's personality, or Smith personally, not his personality, just at him himself. She said she didn't respect his work, called the treatment embarrassing. The firing was seen by some industry observers as a PR misstep. Even at SiriusXM, many colleagues actually spoke about how it turned out. Chris Russo, who of course is the mad dog, expressed empathy for Beadle and Decker, saying the abrupt transition was poorly handled and out of step with this seasoned professionals that should be treated fairly better, much well. As SiriusXM has begun rotating hosts in an interim and says Smith's show will debut in the fall, more money to him. Beadle and Decker's version ended immediately. They were done. They were fired essentially in the trades, and then the next day, one more shot to get off the air. For Smith, the deal is made to return to radio. For SiriusXM, the moment highlights the tension between superstar talents and established hosts and how changes in communications in today's climate is what it is. This is essentially something I dealt with when I was pulled off the radio, pulled off the air like 8 years ago. It seems like at this point, essentially one day you're working on something, the next day it's like, thank you for your time, we're going in another direction, and that direction does not include you. The big news for SiriusXM is there was a whole lot of love, a whole lot of talk, a whole lot of discussion about the big getting some new work for Stephen A. Smith. The problem is he had to take over someone's spot. Once they said, this is your spot, and Beadle and Decker, you guys are losing the spot, without being told beforehand they're losing the spot, it got ugly quickly. 5 stories down. 5 more stories to go. We want to thank you so much for sticking with us for these 5 stories. If you have any comments for us here watching us live, you can go ahead and say them, put them in the comments. I missed the one from Daniel Farrell, which is what is happening here. I think he's talking about the picture I had that was the car on fire as a teaser graphic for what we had going on, but I had not turned on the live comments feed yet, so we missed it. So comment away. But that's the part of the StreamYard platform we're doing here. We do need your help. We do need to ask for your assistance. We do want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing this, and I need some assistance. I need some meaning, if you will, to help going on. So we need to help grow our News Nerd Nation. We need to get more people following us and subscribing to the YouTube channel so we can get more out of this one. And I need you to like, share, and subscribe to this video, however you're watching it. I'm looking at 32 live viewers right now, and that's telling me can't click over to because I got this other screen in front of me. Most of those will probably come from X because they pop up in live feeds very quickly. But that means 32 people are watching this live. If I had likes from all 32 of those people, that would mean a lot. That will tell the algorithms, hey, some people are watching this thing live, go check it out. Or in the replays, hey, some people like this thing, go check it out in the replay. And it also will tell me specifically as I am doing this and reviewing things, I picked the right stories, I picked the right headlines, I gave you the right amount of commentary to go with, and we can do much better. We can do better along those lines. Not otherwise, if you're not getting likes, I know I can do much better in getting things going. Share with like-minded people so more people are enjoying it as well. And if you subscribe to it, I have more people who are more likely to see it because you'll get a notification or at least be there in your feed when you check your Facebook and check your X and on your subscribe page inside of the YouTube. So like, share, and subscribe to this here video for things you might not like heard, and like, share, and subscribe to basically all the stuff we provide to you as well. Look for more places that are easier for you to see. Go to our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, and click on the links for our podcast, audio podcast, which you should clip up from this video once it's done. Our newsletter, email newsletter, already written for the day, essentially just waiting for the video to go out there so you can just read the stuff right in your inbox. And of course, we have the hot clips that you'll see on YouTube Shorts and on TikTok all day long. Subscribe to where you want to get the news. Let us know how well we're doing with the news and keep on trucking, if you will. Join the News Nerd Nation. Subscribe today, hopefully on YouTube, but whatever is best for you, keep on keeping on. NIL money. It's big. It's all the rage. And it's hard to get out of students' hands because it's compensation. And in the past, NCAA has had issues and colleges have issues with paying players. But now there are red flags being raised after the NCAA had this settlement that's going to affect the smaller colleges and smaller sports in the colleges. Because the problem is, not everybody makes money. A federal judge has approved a landmark $2.8 billion settlement in the House versus NCAA case. This deal ends longstanding NCAA rules banning direct pay to schools. Starts July 1st. So next month, Division One programs can share up to $20.5 million per year with players. That's a big cash of money they can send to players going back and forth. Funded by the media rights, ticket sales, and fees. So if they use their jersey numbers, if they sell tickets, if they on TV, and other fees that they pay for folks to go to games, that's where the money can come from. 20.5 million can go to those players directly. Most expected flow to the players that make money: men's basketball and football. They will receive approximately 75 to 85% of these funds, which is, an estimate, but because they make the money, they'll get the money. Raising concerns for the smaller sports. Female and non-revenue generating athletes are worried that they'll get nothing and their budgets will be slashed because they're making nothing to pay off the students that actually make money for the schools. Maybe even eliminating some programs in process. A recent Athletecom Division I football player, Sydney Moore, said, quote, "I'm about to get paid, but fretted that resources like track, volleyball, and other sports might actually dry up." Belmont track athlete Sabrina Otzberg added the funds might not cover meals, insurance, or equipment if too focused on top-tier teams. What should be a way to give all players a way to make money off their names, likenesses, and images becomes the reality of fairness or equity, if you will. Some places don't have the equity to spread it out evenly because some schools do not have the equity to say you're making enough money. It also permits a school to expand scholarships while cutting roster spots and manage costs. More people can get spot scholarships in the range, but there'll be less folks who can walk on and just be on the team. 5 power conferences will oversee compliance instead of the NCAA, which also has some red flags going forward. Critics questioning whether athletes' rights, the Title IX balance, and employment definitions are being addressed. Huge shift for the amateur model, as literally if a college can play a player, they're not an amateur. Top athletes gain financial power. Smaller programs have uncertain futures. If a smaller school can't make a payroll, they can't bring in star players. If a small school can't make a payroll, they can't make in their other tiered sports that don't have anyone who's going to be paid in the first place. Some hail it as historic, a way to give more fairness to the students who are making money for these schools. Others say there are unintended consequences and cementing deep divides within the sports and the schools and communities themselves. Let's speed up on Meta for a little bit. As the platform has been found by CBS to display hundreds of ads on their platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Messenger, promoted by AI tools marketed as nudity filters. These ads claim they could generate explicit nude-style images using real person's photos. I'm not sure why I guess there's a filter that makes you nude. You put out your photo and it takes your clothes away. Unfilters, if you will. One of the ads featured deepfake style sexualized images of Scarlett Johansson and Anne Hathaway. A lot of them out there wearing nothing but underwear. Another included text asking, how's this filter even allowed? These ads typically link to apps offering nude video manipulation or downloads from the App Store. CBS examined Meta's ad library and found the ads were aimed largely at men 18 to 65 in the US, EU, and UK. While Meta removed many ads after being alerted, dozens remain live on Instagram stories at the time of the reporting. Meta told CBS it has, quote, strict rules against non-consensual intimate imagery. That's what they call it. The company removed the ads, deleted the pages, and blocked associated URLs. However, they admitted the app's creators keep evolving, making enforcement a constant challenge. Experts warn that the spread of these ads could normalize deepfake porn and victimize millions. A recent study shows 6% of American teens have already been targeted with nude deepfake images resembling them, while the U.S. has new laws like the Bipartisan Take It Down Act to require platforms to remove intimate deepfakes within 48 hours of notice. They still don't criminalize the tools themselves. So the people who are housing the actual images have a responsibility to take them down, which is good, but they don't have a mechanism, at least that we don't as law enforcement, to actually hunt down the people who create these tools and make them the problem in the first place. Universal has confirmed that a fourth film in the Meet the Parents universe is happening. It's underway. It's going to happen. Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro are back with their iconic roles. It brings back familiar faces, comedic tension, while pivoting towards a fresh storyline, basically updating it for the 2025s. Oscar nominee Ariana Grande is set to co-star as fiancée of Greg Focker's adult son. Her character is described as strong-willed, perhaps even ball-busting. No, marking a notable shift into mainstream comedy for Grande. Of course, big right now for Wicked and Wicked for Good coming in a few months, I believe. But now she's going to get into some more funny stuff, not just Sam and Cat. She's going to be a new Fokker. Yes, she will be. And yes, I said that. Director John Hamburg, who co-wrote the first 3 films, is back to pen and direct this sequel. Blythe Danner and Terry Polo are in discussion to return, adding legacy continuity. That word. Niro noted that he's read a promising draft. We'll see. Studio schedules pegged for Meet the Parents 4 around November 25, 2026 for their release. Then holiday slot for 4 days after Wicked for Good. I guess it's happening next year. So there you go. Grande can fight Grande in the theaters coming soon. The original trilogy pulled in more than $1.1 billion together, so another extra couple million ain't too bad. Both Stiller and De Niro hinted at the film echoing its first installment, but an update to the times now. All the children are grown. They're stepping into family chaos and its meta revolving door of generational woes and nostalgia. Timing feels intentional. Its cast is now in real life what the characters were 25 years ago. Basically, they're much older, and now the cast for the younger parents, the younger folks, Ben Stiller and his Fokker family, are now essentially where Robert De Niro was back in the day, and they will be essentially meeting the parents on that end. Diddy has asked his courtroom artist to do a little tweaking because he believes he looks like a koala in the sketches that are being produced for the courtroom. During a break in his Manhattan sex trafficking trial, Sean Diddy Combs turned to a sketch artist named James Rosenberg with one request: soften me up a bit. You make me look like a koala bear. The 55-year-old rap mogul said the portraits made him resemble a koala rather than his usual self. No cameras are allowed in federal court, which of course means much big work for sketch artists these days. Sketches are crucial to getting pictures, getting some imagery, getting some sort of scene what's happening for us who can't be there. Rosenberg has covered many high-profile trials as capturing Combs as he looks currently. He has gray hair. He has a goatee. He's coming wearing sweaters. Combs reacted to drawings before, but now that he's a client, he's got critiques of what he looks like because he does. It isn't Combs' first critique of the courtroom art. Other defendants have joined in this too. Rudy Giuliani once said he looked like a dog. Donald Trump Jr. told Rosenberg to make him look sexy. His pictures where he was there for his father's trial. Sketch artists often get side-eyed for how much they capture or miss in trying to capture the scene, but maybe not capturing the actual reality. The essence is there, but it's in the caricature type of work that is a sketch artist, some things get a little skewered. Judge Aram Sabaraman warned Combs to avoid interacting with the jury after noticing him nodding during proceedings. Among the judge, something the judge called unacceptable. Essentially, as people would say things on the stand, he would just sort of look at the jury and be like, which he's been warned to do. He threatened to remove him from the courthouse if he continued that behavior, which would mean less sketches of him as well. He faces serious racketeering charges and trafficking charges and life in prison. So the koala bear comment is a rare moment of levity from Combs and many folks, including Jimmy Kimmel, who really poked fun at this one as well. But let's be serious for a quick moment here in this case. There's a lot that is riding on a case like this one for Combs himself, the people involved around him, and the industry that he actually helped to blow up in a sense of what he did in his work. People can't play his work, can't play his music, can't do his stuff anymore because right now they're on eggshells on whether he will survive this trial and whether we can actually give him the rights, literally pay him the money to do these things going forward. We're going to see this thing play out, unfortunately, in a very, very crazy public way as it's going right now. And we'll see what the verdict will be on the koala bear pictures, whether those will be fixed or toned down a little bit, and in general on the racketeering charges. Finally, another idiot on YouTube showing why apparently I'm only at 2,200 followers, and this guy is killing it because he's doing silly stuff and I'm doing news of the silly stuff. A YouTuber has been recently banned from a Nintendo store after destroying a Switch 2 in front of staff. Now, many staff members in many stores have been destroying Nintendo Switch 2s, not on purpose, by stapling receipts to boxes and puncturing the screens based on how the box is built. That's not on purpose. That's kind of bad. They've apologized and they've replaced them. However, this guy on June 5th, Plain Rock 124, a YouTuber known for his board smashing series, walked into Nintendo store in San Francisco, unboxed the newly launched Nintendo Switch 2, smashed it on spot, captured the act on video, posted to X, going viral, of course. According to the creator, the stunt led to an immediate ban. He claimed to be the first person ever barred from a San Francisco Nintendo store. I guess that's good. Through Nintendo and spokespersons who said nothing. They did not confirm it publicly, so we don't know words from them. Internal sources suggest that both retail and account level blocks were put in place following the incident. So he can't log into a Nintendo store and with his password and buy more stuff. Online reactions were pretty swift. Redditors commenting saying that there's always some edgelord wasting their time and money for attention. Another comment says, it's Plain Rock. Makes their money back just by posting it. Public sentiment range from amusement to outright frustration, with many decrying the destruction of a scarce, high-demand product. A $500 whatever terrorists brought the price up to for that Switch 2 could have went to the hands of some young person for a birthday, a Christmas, a very special bar mitzvah. But no, Plain Rock 124 got his money back, probably plus some, with the viral video. His loyal following of 2.5 million subscribers, which I'm far away from, saw him destroy the expensive tech, and they ate it up. Generate viral content and views, which what he did. He hit the mark on that one. Critics argue that the stunt crosses a line during a launch where fans struggle to buy even one. He walked in and smashed one in front of everyone. This episode actually raises questions about content norms and brand control in the digital age. Should creators be free to destroy products for clicks? Is the brand's response, barring at both store and account levels, proportional? Nintendo may need to clarify how it will handle the future stunts like this, basically come out public going forward. Now, this is not Blendtec and Will It Blend. Blendtec was, of course, a blender company. I'm sure that they are still a blender company that went to a stunt for videos that was put stuff in blenders and see, will this blender strong enough to blend it to pieces? A lot of stuff were heavy tech things that were pretty heavy duty to put together, and they did stuff like that. This was them buying things that were normal, things that were kind of out there, old cell phones, old tech, things like that. This is a guy wanting to get some attention, and he got it for good or for ill. I'm going to say the ill, but of course, I don't have 2.5 million followers on YouTube, so maybe he's on to something. Maybe. Those were 10 stories from the weekend, from Friday to early this morning. Now we have a full day from early this morning to a little bit early to, or from basically midnight this morning to a little early tomorrow morning on Tuesday to tease you with, to talk about. These are 3 stories that are queued up right now, ready to go for you to engage in. If you want to talk these stories up, all you need to do is literally engage in them. Go to our feeds on Facebook and X and just like them, love them, do the things to do to engage with them directly. 101 dogs rescued from a parent puppy mill in home, rescue group says. Australian reporter shot with rubber bullets while covering anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles. We'll definitely be talking more ICE protests throughout the day, throughout the days. This is a story that may be a quick blip, but we may have to kind of sneak it in there. As if you've seen the video, a reporter for Australian News Channel 9 is reporting on the protest. She's out there in the streets. Things are happening. And then you see in the background a line of police officers, and one of them in the far end line just turns towards her, fires a shot, assumingly right at her in the moment. And right now, today, Ohio would be nice. Oreo and Selena Gomez have partnered on a new cookie. The Selena Gomez Oreo is out today. So find it now, taste it, let us know what you think about it, and respond to it if it's something conversational for the first day of Selena Gomez Oreos. You can follow us on x.com/This Is a Conversation Project, Facebook.com/TH_conversation. Those are our feeds. Those are our links on Facebook and X. And every 50 minutes or so, we post news articles for you to engage in. These three are already queued up as I record this live, currently 6:08 in the morning on this Monday. But it'll be there all day long, along with the other stories that we'll get out there. We'll post about 30 stories within a daytime from a midnight to a 3 a.m. in a day part. For the weekend, it's about 90 stories. So we gave you 10 stories of the top half of stories for this Monday morning thing. For tomorrow and the rest of the week, it'll be about 30 stories, as I said. So we'll take the top half, about 15 stories, and give you 8. So the mix of purity of engagement will be much stronger, if you will. But 8 stories for the rest of the week for you to engage in, for the talk about here, and to engage deeper with our comments and hot takes. This is a dialogue, not a monologue. You tell me what stories are worthy of chatting up, and we chat them up together. We also want to bring up Ground News. It's our spotlight sponsor. Visit them at thisisaconversationproject.com/ground news. You will get 40% off their Vantage plan, and we get a small commission for bringing you in there. Now, Ground News is a sponsor that many folks that do news coverage like we do sought out, look for to turn into their listing of sponsors. And they have been very, very good to us. But they're also very, very good to us as a way of getting news information and getting all that stuff done. We were a user of them before we became an affiliate, well before, because what they do is they help you sort out the noise in all the news and find some news in some of the noise. They'll give you unbiased opinion by giving you all the opinions, biased and unbiased. So you can review what your certain silo says along with what other silos are saying and get something that's something more pure from a source that's more or less in the middle. Now, we talked earlier about the mistrust in the news media. You may not trust certain media folks because you think they're all lying to you, or you may think they're all lying to you and think everything comes from TikTok is what's golden. That's fine. But if you want to get a bigger perspective of what's happening, or maybe know what the lies that are being told are exactly are, Ground News will give you that. They will give you a side-by-side perspective for local, national, global news stories for all things being covered. If you're missing a story, something that's not being covered in your area or in your silo, you'll see them and you'll see if you want to get deeper into that one. If you're missing coverage because a certain type of political view thinks that they don't want you to see it, so they're not talking about it, the blind spot feature will show you those stories as well. You can form your own opinion with a balanced information from all sides. And if you think they all suck, you can have proof how bad all they suck, all of them together. Easy to read layouts, side-by-side comparisons, get the noise and get the facts directly. Download it on your phone or check it out on your website browser. Go to the website, thisisaconversationproject.com/ground news. It's listed inside of our sponsors page. We get a small commission for you getting into this one, but you get 40% off all their plans, especially their high plan, the Vantage plan, when we subscribe to every single month. Check it out. See beyond the headlines and think beyond the bias with Ground News. The Conversation Project lives online at thisisaconversationproject.com. And if you're looking for news that reflects what people are actually talking about, we're here. And yes, we do work for clicks. We're looking for views. We're looking for all those things right there. That's why we talk about the OF stories a lot. But this is your home for conversations that matter in the news world. We cut through the noise of breaking news headlines that are built for outrage and give you what real people are talking about. We open up with the LA issues, the ICE protests, because literally it's what the news coverage is all about. There's nothing but ICE baby right now and what's happening going forward. Today, if you will, we'll have more talk going deeper into the president and his actions in bringing in National Guard troops, federalizing National Guard troops, and possibly bringing Marines to stop the insurrection. Right now, it's people who are fighting against ICE deportations. That's not quite overthrowing government, but your mileage may vary with your language. But we need your help to do this. Every day we post dozens of articles on social media for you to engage in, and that's how we know what's happening, what to talk about. Everyday folks like you tell us what stories are the good ones. We bring them up, we chop them up into smaller pieces onto our channels, and then we go deeper in discussion with your comments there. You can comment here on the long form. It'd be nice if you do that, but you can comment in the short forms on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts as well. Once again, the important bona fides include our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, our email address for conversations on the conversation, us and conversations, this or the conversation inbox at gmail.com, and the feeds for your pleasure and enjoyment and clickability, because it is about clicks, if you will. Facebook.com/This is Conversation Project, X.com/TH Conversation. Every 50 minutes or so, we post various news articles. Sometimes we miss, sometimes we double post because sometimes we're people. But you'll see articles of various sources out there, and you can tell us what sources, what articles, what stories are the most worthy of chatting up. My name is Jay Clifton Payne. This has been a Monday, June 9th, 2025 edition of Things You Might Have Heard. Very quickly, because we actually did very well on time, we're going to thank or blame some weirdness in the algorithms and in the prompts that happen in working on some prompts for our newsreader for the GPT that gave us our news editing, which sort of streamlined it. I think it's better. And I also got a chance to do a bit more editorializing, so that we'll work out with that one. Hopefully we'll have more pithy types of things. We had Big O on the podcast a few days ago for talking about the Trump and Musk breakout. He will definitely say I did much better in pithiness, although it still was 40 minutes of a show. But we took off a couple days last week, 3 days specifically for Things You Might Have Heard, because we had some family issues. We had some things going on. I had to attend to some family things. I have to attend to some things this week as well. So we may have a bit of a lull in a week. But I think the folks who reached out and asked what was going on, we were still able to produce here or there some bits and pieces of some short takes, some hot takes here or there. And of course, the newsletter was pretty simple to release. It's just finding time to sit in other rooms that have lacking internet, and me yapping on a camera in front of people looking like, why is that guy talking about Taylor Swift in public becomes an issue. So I thank you profusely for giving me the love and keeping up with us and keeping some of our numbers consistent as we do this. I would like to do more shorter news stories. I would like to do more stories that are off the beaten path. I did a bunch of things, including people dressing up as bears to nurse baby cubs, and how money and renovations can basically ruin a marriage over the weekend, which got a lot of responses, a lot of comments that were interesting, a lot of comments I didn't expect, but it was sort of the news I had time to get out there. You let me know what stories you need to talk about. Email me at the conversation inbox at gmail.com if you want more of those things. I try to news off the beaten path sort of short video thing. If they don't take off pretty quickly, then we move on and keep doing things that seem to work, things I seem to like. I do this because I can chop up the stories very easily. I do the short takes because they are there to engage and get people hitting things. I do the things on the short takes on Yahoo Shorts because I have a platform that will cut them up for me. I take the best I can, and they help us get clicks, help us get people follows, help it going forward. If you like us, follow us. If you like us, go to our partners page and consider being a partner. If you like us, check out more sponsors or sponsorship page. If you like us, share us with more people, and hopefully they will like us. If you hate us, share it with more people, and hopefully they will hate us and keep watching as well, because hate shares, hate watches, they count as well. Love you guys. I love you regardless. Mean it so much. Do this again tomorrow. Promise, for Tuesday.